Hey everybody, welcome back, welcome back to part 3 of Amazing World of DC Comics, showcasing the run of that. Uh, like I say, for those of you who haven't tuned into the other ones, this Amazing World of DC was an in-house fanzine that DC put out in the mid-70s, and it had a lot of great behind-the-scenes articles and pictures and a lot of unpublished artwork and covers. And we're up to issue number 11. And this focuses on the supervillains. And here's a great cover by the late, great Dick Dillon. One of my favorite artists because I was such a big fan of the Justice League when I was a kid. And he had a run from like issue 64 or 65 up through maybe 183. I think pretty much he passed away at the drawing board when he was like doing that last issue. I think there was maybe one or two issues that he didn't do when that was a really good run, and one of my favorite artists at the time. On the back, you have a illustration cover repro of All Star Comics number 37, featuring the Injustice Society of the world. Really cool Golden Age cover. Inside the front cover, a little mishmash of villains then and now, from the Golden Age to the Bronze Age. And an article called The Wrong Arm of the Law. And you got some great illustrations of Plastic Man, probably by Jack Cole, and Creeper and Hawk and Dove by Steve Ditko. And you have an interview with Green Lantern's main villain, Sinestro. Great Green Lantern illustrations, I guess showing his Rogues Gallery by Gil Kane. And we have some more Direct Currents. I think that might be Joe Orlando in that picture, along with a picture of a young Jeanette Kahn when she first came working for DC. Advertising a couple more treasuries. Superman Salutes the Bicentennial. The Justice League. It's got a great Dick Giordano cover. And First Look at Ragman by Joe Kubert and the Redondo Studio. One of my favorite titles from the 70s. And I think this was the month where you had the bicentennial covers, which I think I'm like 2 or 3 shy of. And once I complete that run, I'm going to be trying to do a video on all those. More great covers. And an ad for a Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes Treasury. Great cover by Mike Grell. I think later on Alex Ross did a version of this cover. It's pretty cool. And an ad for a little short-lived series called Starfire. I really like this series. I think it only ran 8 issues. I think it had some great art in it by Mike Vosberg. And here's an ad for DC's Secret Origin of Superheroes. It's a book that I'd still like to have. And speaking of unpublished stuff, it's got a black and white story it was originally intended for the Secret Society of Supervillains #1. Another great little series that I love, kind of showcasing all of DC's heavy hitters at the time. And the story that's actually published in this book was supposed to be in the first issue of Secret Society. And I guess Jerry Conway sat down with Carmine Infantino, and I guess it was what Infantino wanted. But still a great story nonetheless. I think Rick Estrada and Pablo Marcos did the art. Not a Rick Estrada fan, but Pablo Marcos makes it look good. I love Pablo Marcos' art. There's Captain Cold. And you see the lineup. In the beginning, you had Star Sapphire and Clayface, Captain Cold. You had the clone of the Paul Kirk Manhunter, made famous by Archie Goodwin and Walt Simonson, Gorilla Grodd, and I think he features, I think Darkseid is in this one, yeah. So you have some early Darkseid work, probably the first black and white artwork. But a cool little story, and like I say, some great art. Pablo Marcos on the finishes. And as I said before in a couple of the other videos, I mean, this was really a great magazine just because you had the really nice cardstock covers and the heavy paper, which you didn't have in a lot of magazines back then. Here's a great panel at the bottom featuring Manhunter and Captain Cold and Star Sapphire. Last page, and you have another article on how comic is created by David Michelin. It features Phantom Stranger, and that's probably Fred Carrillo or Rico Rival on the art. Big fan of the Phantom Stranger book. And have an article about another one of DC's villains, Eclipso. And this is one of my favorite articles. Like I say, Dick Dillon did the cover. Like I say, he was famous for the Blackhawks, the Justice League, did a lot of work on World's Finest. I think he did a couple of Green Lantern and Green Arrow stories. Here's a few pictures of Dick. And great Blackhawk illustration and Green Lantern, Green Arrow on the bottom. And have a little repro of Solomon Grundy. And the way this is laid out here, science fiction writer Alfred Bester, for those of you that follow sci-fi, one of the greats, built the plot and the protagonist around the children's nursery rhyme of Solomon Grundy. So I guess this was Alfred Bester. Okay, guys, number 11. And we get to what's probably my favorite issue of the whole run, spotlighting science fiction, the Legion, Earth After Disaster. Got a great Mike Grell cover featuring a Legion of Superheroes and Warlord. And probably about 3 years ago I took this to a convention, and Grell signed it for me down here. So glad to have that one. And on the back, another one of my favorites from the 70s, a great Walt Simonson illustration of the Metal Men. So for Simonson's fans, I think he did probably 5 or 6 issues of the Metal Men. Really worth searching out. Dirt cheap. And for those of you that love the Saturday morning TV shows of Shazam and Isis, there you have a great photo from the Isis TV show. An article on science fiction aspects in comics. I think a lot of this is Adam Strange and Green Lantern. Adam, maybe the JLA. But just a lot of really cool little pieces of literature and some great illustrations from the Silver Age and Bronze Age. And this is probably one of my favorite articles of all out of this, where they actually try to tie Commandy's Earth or Commandy's timeline in with Hercules Unbound, the Atomic Knights, the New Gods, the Legion. Of course, this was probably 10 years before Crisis on Infinite Earth, but this really tries to tie everything together. And for those of you that are fans of any of these characters and or concepts, I would really search this, try to find this issue and search it out. Great article. Of course, all this stuff has been rebooted so many times, so you just have to kind of take this with a grain of salt. But for back then, this was a big deal for me because I was always wondering, as a kid, how all this stuff fit together. I mean, they've even thrown the Amazons in this. And here's some more great illustrations and a suggested reading list to try to tie all this together. And you have an interview with Mike Grell. Picture of Mike in the 70s with somebody in a Robin costume. I don't think that's Burt Ward. I might be wrong, but anyway. Great article on Mike talking about Warlord, Green Lantern, Green Arrow, and the Legion. And you have another unpublished story, which was actually published later, I think maybe in issue 66 or 67 of Weird War Tales. But then this hadn't seen print yet. So you have some black and white Mike Grell art intended for Weird War Tales, a great little sci-fi tale called The Alien Among Us. Big fan of Mike Grell's work. And for people that follow the Legion, the superheroes back in the 70s, Mike really had a tough road to hoe, so to speak, because he had to take over from Dave Cockrum. And, of course, Cockrum is one of the all-time greats, went on to probably greater notoriety drawing the X-Men. But Mike's the guy that had to follow Dave on the Legion. All the costumes, all the characters. This is a really cool little story and some great artwork. Okay, you have an article on some Silver Age sci-fi, Strange Adventures. Some of DC's Silver Age sci-fi characters. Space Cabbie, Captain Comet, even Animal Man. These stories of the Space Museum are always some of my favorites. And have an article starting here called The Legion Outpost, which was actually another fanzine that Legion fans put together. More direct currents. What's kind of cool about this, I'm sure most of you have seen or have the Superman versus Muhammad Ali Treasury, which the art was done by Neil Adams, probably one of his best projects. But I think you have an alternate cover of what would have been by Joe Kubert. For you Kubert fans. Another article in the back, Inside the Amazing World. And a photo of another comic that DC did back in the 70s. Got the cast of Welcome Back, Kotter. So all in all, a really, really cool package. Number 12. Got some great artwork, great stories. So there you go. Another upgraded copy. Okay, on to issue number 13. This is the all humor issue with a great Sergio Aragonés cover. And a really cool back cover by Wally Wood. You know, for this stuff alone, to me, you know, these books are worth having. Okay, you have more Inside Amazing World articles. You have Rudolph, Sugar and Spike. And this looks like an interview with Mr. Mxyzptlk and his lady. There's Bizarro. Some more DC's more humorous characters. A Bizarro version of Mxyzptlk, Batmite. I think this was I think these characters here were sort of like a takeoff on the Stooges. I think maybe they're called Wink and Blink and a Nod. I'm not sure. I think they appeared in the old Flash comic. There's some of the sidekicks. You got Woozy Winks and Tawny the Talking Tiger. Not sure who the chick is, but. And you have an article on the Martian Manhunter. Part 3 of Guide to Confusing Continuity. And some more illustrations of John Jones. Have a history of the Bizarro world to that point. Fox and the Crow. And here you have an article on Plop. And you actually have a tale of Jonah Hex. Now, I'm not sure if this appeared in Plop or was maybe a tale that was going to be in Plop. I'll have to go back and look because my collection still isn't complete on this one. But you have a black and white tale, sort of funny tale of Jonah Hex. Well, just a funny take. Instead of water, he's wanting root beer. And another real treat, written by Steve Skates and artwork by Steve Ditko and Wally Wood, called The Narc is Coming, The Narc is Coming. Okay, there's another article called The Superstars of DC Celluloid. Get the pictures of some of the Saturday morning serials of Captain Marvel, Shazam, and Spy Smasher. Very cool. Batman and Robin, Hop Harrigan, Vigilante, all in the early serials. Superman, Black Hawk. I think the top one is supposed to be Congo Bill. You fans of the old Jungle comics, remember Congo Bill? A lot of his reprints in the Tarzan comic. I guess instead of doing a parody of Direct Currents called Short Circuits, you have a history of Wonder Woman for some reason in this issue. Golden Age illustrations in black and white. Another installment of the Legion Outpost. More Direct Currents. I think the format kind of changed. There wasn't as many illustrations, but these two are really good. I think this one, the Dollar Comics, started from DC. Superman Family House of Mystery, two great Neil Adams covers. And more Sugar and Spike in the back. So there you go. The humor issue. Okay, got one more I'm going to show on this video. I'm trying not to let these run past 30 or 35 minutes. Another favorite issue of mine, spotlighting the Justice League of America. Another great Dick Dillon cover. This is issue number 14. And I think another, this might be Dick Dillon and Joe Giella on the back, I'm not sure. An early JLA illustration. And you have an article on the history of the JLA to that point. It's great illustrations and great covers. Mike Sekowsky. I think Murphy Anderson did a lot of the early covers. The Justice League, as a lot of you know, I'm trying to complete my run of the original series. I think I'm 15 issues shy. This was the book that I looked for every month on the newsstand. I mean, this was one that really got my blood pumping. I mean, all the best superheroes in one book, you know, just like the Avengers. And I had watched the Super Friends TV show. It was okay. I wasn't impressed with it. If I wanted the real Justice League, this was where I would go. Some early Bronze Age covers. Article called The Men Behind the Justice League. Some of the writers, editors at the time. Little caricatures of those guys. And a checklist, and I did actually write in this copy. I have another copy, but I actually did the checklist in this one. More great Silver Age covers. Get into the later Silver Age and early Bronze Age. Okay, and here you have a schematic of the Justice League's headquarters, their satellite headquarters. And some little short histories on all of the members. But those a lot of those great vignettes done by Neil Adams back in the late '60s, early '70s. A couple of other artists in there. There's some short histories on all the members to that point. And you have some guests. 7 Soldiers of Victory. Great illustration at the bottom. I think that's done by Murphy Anderson of the original Justice Society of America. Freedom Fighters, another favorite of mine as a kid. Actually got their own title for 15 wonderful issues. I think it's done by maybe Al Milgrom. Mike Royer right there. Some villains. Interview with JLA editor Julius Schwartz, I should say. And actually, Schwartz and 2 of the writers, Elliot Magan and Cary Bates. I think this is from issue 123. I think it was actually the first JLA JSA team up that I bought, and it included, the characters from what was then called Earth Prime, Our Earth, where you saw the writers and the artists and the editors pop up from time to time. Drawn by Dick Dillon. Great illustration of Schwartz. I think I showed you this on an earlier. Amazing World. Here's a report on the Superman movie. Marlon Brando and Gene Hackman. Christopher Reeve as Superman. More direct currents. I think this was a Treasury, Superman Wonder Woman Treasury. I think it's one of the few DCs I don't have yet. Okay. Some more books coming up. Swamp Thing illustration. Another installment of the Legion Outpost. I think these are some characters that actually were going to appear in the Legion that Dave Cockrum designed. I don't think, I'm not sure how many of them made it. Some early cosplayers from SeaWorld. And here you have the Justice League on water skis. More great JLA covers reproduced here. There you go, number 14. And, that was my original. I had to upgrade that copy. So there's my upgraded copy of that one. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up with that. I've already run 36 minutes on this one. I have 4 more issues to show, so I'll save that for the next video. But for those of you that have hung with me on this and are interested in comics history, and especially DC Comics history, I really appreciate the views and all the comments. And look forward to doing the last installment. So as always, onward and upward.